Hi students, here in this video we are about to discuss about the chapter number 7, that is controls and coordination in an animal, right? So here we are talking about the controls and coordination which occurs with the help of your muscles also. Here we are talking about the controls and the coordination which occurs with the help of your nervous system also, and along with that we also talk about the controls and coordination which occurs with the help of endocrine system also. Just for example, if we talk about here in the controls and coordination, you have two systems, that is the nervous system and the endocrine system, right? When we talk about the nervous system, you all are familiar with few things. That is what we have, that is brain, you have spinal cord, and you have the nerves which are associated with that of your nervous system, and they are responsible for the transfer of different messages from your what we call as your sensory organs, your five sense organ, to that of your spinal cord and the brain. So here in this video we are only going to talk about the nervous system. That means the main nerves, that is your receptors, your stimulators, your neurons, and also the types of nervous system do you have in your body and their functions. So here when we talk about the units of your nervous system, right, we have some receptors. Before starting with the unit, that is the neuron, right, we will go with the receptors. What do you mean by the receptors, right? So they are the special nerves which are helping in the collection of information, right? Just for example, when you touch something and you feel hot, right, that hotness is the information which is received by that of your receptors, right? So therefore, based on the different types of messages received, your receptors are divided into 5 types. First is called as the phonoreceptor. Phono means hearing, right? They are associated with that of your ear. Photoreceptors, they are responsible for the vision of a person. You have the thermoreceptors which are there with the skin, and they will give you the sense of the touch of touching something hot, touching something cool, right? So they will give you the sense of the touch. And you have, that is, olfactory receptors which are responsible for the smell, and they are present in your nose, right? And the last one, that is gustatory receptors, that is helping in the taste, and they are present on the tongue. So basically we are talking about the 5 sense organs which we have in a human body, and the different receptors which are associated with them, right? So when we have the nervous system, so first when we talk about the nervous system, we must know about the structural and the functional unit of your nervous system. So here when we talk about the structural and functional unit of a nervous system, you have the neurons, right? You have, that is your neurons. Your neurons are called as the structural and the functional unit of a nervous system. And when we see the structure of your neuron, right, when we see the structure of your neuron, right, you can just like draw in this way, right? This is what we have, and at the lower ends we have, that is synapses, right? We have the synapses here, right? So this is what you have, the synapses. Here you are having the dendrites, right, which are joined with the another neurons, and they are responsible for receiving the signals from the neurons. This is the nucleus of the nerve cells, and here you are going to have the sheath of, right, you have the sheath of melanin, right, the sheath of melanin, right? So this is how your neuron looks like, right? This is how the neurons look like, and this portion is called as the cell body. Cell body, right? The cell body is also called as cyton, right? The cell body is also called as cyton. You can call it either cell body or you can also call it as cyton, and it is just like something of star shape which have many hair-like structures which are called as dendrites. They are called as dendrites, right? They are called as dendrites, which are associated with the terminals of another neurons, and they help in a continuous conduction of your nerve impulse, right? And they even have a center, which is your nucleus, right? Which is your nucleus here. This elongated area is called as axon. This elongated area or the tail of the neuron is called as axon, and axon is also having an terminal. Here you have the terminal, right, region of your axon, right? And this terminal region will help in the transfer of impulse from one neuron to that of the other, right? This is called as the axon terminal. Axon terminal. So this is how what happens here, right? They have synapse. They have synapse. Synapse are the cliffs which are here, right? And this synapse fuses with that of the another what we have your any other neurons, and they will form a synaptic cliff, so that there will be exchange of signal between two of your neuron. That I will explain you in the later part, but here you have this layer that is called as myelin sheath, right? Myelin sheath, right? And this myelin sheath is acting as a insulator, right? It acts as an insulator so that the nerve, it should travel straight from that of the cell body to the axon terminal, right? To the axon terminal. So what is going to happen during the conduction of impulse is you have here, you will have the synaptic knob here, right? This is your synaptic knob, right? This synaptic knob is of a single neuron, right? You will have the gaps or what we call as the joint between them. This is called as synaptic cleft, right? And then you will have the continuation of your another neuron. So what is going to happen here, you have some specific chemical messenger called as acetylcholine, which are present in that of the synaptic knot. So what is going to happen during the conduction of impulse? When the impulse come to the synapse or synaptic knot, this acetylcholine will be removed in the synaptic gap, in this cleft, right? This empty space which is there between the two neurons, and which will cause the carrying conversion of this, right, this impulse from one neuron to that of the another. So what happens actually, that is at the synaptic cleft, the impulse is in the form of chemical impulse, right? It is in the chemical form, right? It is the impulse is in the chemical form, right? And after it enters the another neuron, it is converted into what we called as electrical impulse, right? In the electrical impulse form, and once again it will reach the synapse, it is going to convert back to the chemical one. So it is a continuous process which occurs, right? Here chemical impulse is because of the presence of acetylcholine, but when we talk about the electrical impulse, it is because of the sodium and potassium ions. It is because of the sodium and potassium ions which are present in a neuron, right? And this detailed explanation about this, it is there in your higher standard, so we won't go deep into this topic right now. So let's see what are the types of neuron, right? What are the different types of neurons, right? So when we see, there are basically what we call as three types of neuron. One is called as the sensory neuron, right? Second, you have what we call it as motor neuron, right? And the third one we have, that is relay neuron, right? So when we talk about the sensory neuron, that means it is coming from that of, or that it comes or arises from the receptors. Receptors means the place from where you will receive the signal. That is why they are called as sensory neurons. Then you have, in between the sensory neurons, then you have the motor neurons. Motor neurons arrive from that of the spinal cords and the brain, so that whatever the message which came from the sensory neurons will be converted by the brain, and the answer will be sent by the motor neuron to that of the target area, right? And apart from that, the relay neuron play a important role, right? What it does is that whenever the sensory nerves, they will carry the impulse or information, first it goes to the relay. Relay will send that message to that of your brain, and brain will give the message back to the relay, and relay will go it to the send it to the motor neuron, and motor neuron will go for the another part. This whole concept is there in your reflex arc, which will be explained in the another chapter or in the another part of my video, but right now I don't think so I have to explain it here. So let's keep it in this way, that is the types of neurons are in three times, that is sensory, motor and the relay neurons. Okay, so now whenever we talk about that is the human nervous system, right? When we talk about the nervous system, right? When we talk about the nervous system, right, of a human, it is basically divided into three types. First is very common, that you all know, that is the central nervous system. It has, one is your spinal, right, spinal cord, and the another part, that is your brain, right? When you talk about another, that is called as your peripheral, right, peripheral nervous system, peripheral nervous system, right? Peripheral nervous system consists of two types of nerves. One is called as the cranial nerves, right? One is called as your cranial nerves, right, which are actually when we talk, they are 12 in numbers, and another are your spinal nerves that arrives from that of your spinal cord, and they are 31 in number, right? And then the last one you have, that is the what we call it as autonomous, right, autonomous nervous system, right? Autonomous nervous system is not under the control of your own will, right? It is not under the control of your will, that if you want to stop it, it will stop, and if you don't want to stop it, it won't, right? That's what it is called as autonomous nervous system. And it has further two types that are called as sympathetic and parasympathetic, right? Sympathetic and parasympathetic. they both are complementary to each other. They both are complementary to each other in what sense? If sympathetic nervous system increase your heartbeat, the parasympathetic will decrease it, right? If the parasympathetic is causing you to dilute your pupils, that means to increase the pupil of your eyes, the size of your pupil of the eyes, they will decreases, right? If it is causing you to breathe high, it will reduce the breathing, right? The amount of breathing. So they are complementary to each other. That means whatever is increased by this, it is reduced by this, and whatever is increased by it, it is reduced by this. So they are working together. So basically, if I want to divide your whole complete nervous system, it is of two types, voluntary and involuntary. So these two are involved in the voluntary nervous system, right? Except few areas of brain, and rest all are in your involuntary, that is your sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so that's all about your nervous system of a human, right? That's all about the nervous system of a human. So if you have any doubt, right, if you have any doubt regarding this topic, because for this year, that is 2020 and 21, the topic that is what we have, that is reflex action and reflex arc, it has been removed from your syllabus. So that's all you have to study, that is the type of human nervous system, your neurons, right, synaptic cleft, right, chemical impulse being transferred in the electrical impulse, types of neurons, that's all. You don't have a reflex arc, so I won't go into that topic for this year, but that's all you have to study. Okay, dear? And even the parts of brains are also included in this year, and apart from that, right, your thigmotrophism, that is the movement in the plants, are excluded along with that of your hormones. So only you have, that is this topics which I have explained you right now, and also the part of brain. So that will be the topic of your 10th standard from this chapter, which will be included in your examination. But still, I will say, do have a look onto the other topics also, because who knows what happens at last. Okay, dear? So this ends the topic which I had to explain you for this video. And if you have any doubt, just do contact me or comment, and I will let you know whatever the possible solution which we have for it. So thank you.